All right, and we are live. Hey, everybody listening to the recording, or if you're live here in person, welcome to today's R Spotlight, where we have Hawaii Marine Live.
Aloha. Hope everyone's doing well. Thank you so much for the opportunity to chat today and just honored to be a part of the R Spotlight.
It's wonderful to have you here. So, first things first, before we, dive deep into who Hawaii Marine Life is, I'm sure if you're on the server, you already seen them like a ton because anytime that, there's something going on. Hawaii's there saying aloha, saying hello, getting people oriented around the place. But, besides just what you see on the surface, Hawaii Marine Life is very much so active about a bunch of impact categories. And we'd love to go into that, do a little bit of a deep dive and, your history in Web3 slash, before that. And, yeah, it's gonna be a fun day today. But before that, few housekeeping items. If you are in the community on the Discord here, I believe we have a boring security session a little bit later today. That would be around like 7 CST or so. So if you signed up for that, definitely do show up to that because if you don't, then you don't get the kudos points for that. That's definitely something you want to show up for. Also, going on right now, I believe that we're on our third day of Tis the Season. So, participate in all the events there, get a real cool chance there to win some really neat stuff. And the turnout so far has been pretty amazing for the first 2 days. Can't wait to see what people have for the third one. Have you been participating in that, Hawaii?
Yeah, I participated in the one yesterday, and then the one on Monday. I have a really awesome carry-on suitcase. So for that one specifically, I didn't participate because I wanted to make sure that others had the opportunity to get it, but been following along, retweeting everything, sharing it, and I'm really excited for the Boring Security event tonight. I think it's a really incredible partnership and offering that the Our Planet community was able to achieve, and how cool is it that they updated their PFP on Twitter to feature a Wanderer? Like, really, really cool to get that support. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that event. And we'll be continuing to participate in the Tis the Season as the days go on.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I'm really, really stoked about the boring security session, even though, I understand, it's a joke, boring, not actually boring, but it's probably one of the most important things here in Web3. It's like, despite us having our ups and downs inside the Web3 space, one of the things that's the most prevalent while you're in a growing state is that there's going to be a ton of bad actors that are coming in there trying to pull exploits on people, rugs, all these things. And sometimes it's the people just aren't prepared for it, is the thing. It's like it sucks when it happens to you, but I will say to a point that I honestly don't believe there's enough content that's readily out there for people to be properly prepared against these things.
100%. I mean, you come into the space a bit naive, I think, because you're not aware of all the scams and even like the malicious social engineering stuff that can go on. And if you have a negative first experience, it can be really detrimental. But if you get into, really strong communities like the Our Planet community and a few others that I'm a part of, Web3 is such a welcoming and amazing space. And just like when you go to a city for the first time from the country, you got to learn how things are. You got to learn all these little tips and tricks, and I'm excited for it. And I think the name Boring also is a play that it's a ApeCoin DAO funded project related to Board Ape Yacht Club. So I think that's
Mm.
also a play on that as well.
Yeah, yeah. But I think that whole like city analogy is like really accurate because the thing is obviously in a city people live there, people go about their everyday lives and amazing things happen on the daily, right? But at the same time, at a small fractional percent of that, someone's gonna get mugged. That's
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Obviously, we would certainly love to live in a world where that isn't happening. Everyone's prosperous and, treating each other to the best. And one of the things that really appealed to me about Our Planet is community mission, doing real shit that makes a real world impact and trying to make a world a better place. So I think we're on the right track to getting to a good spot.
Yeah, I can't wait to share more with all of y'all about what we got cooking. Understandably, We are definitely in the fourth quarter now. Things are winding down for a lot of folks, and they're taking their holiday time. But what I can tell you is the Our Planet team is we're not really taking any breaks. That's the whole thing about work from home. It's like kind of always connected. So that's also why we had the previous sessions about like work life balance. I don't know if we're really the best preachers on that subject though, since we never really do break away.
Yeah, it's more of a do what I say and not what I do type thing.
Yeah, a
But
little
really
bit.
appreciate how y'all are grinding and so stoked to be supporting.
Yeah, it's like understandably there are things that we have to do for the project to, hit the milestones that we definitely want to on our track. And at the same time, we can understand that, if you are in your own position there, it's like really do consider your work life balance. We do our best to, practice what we preach here, but at the same time, it's like we understand that Web3 is full of high expectations. So if you are able to, practice that fine balance, definitely do. Definitely do. I understand I'm sending a little bit of mixed messaging here.
All good, all good. Yeah, Web3 folks, they're gonna be, open presence and then immediately go back on Twitter. I totally understand that for Christmas,
That's what we have two hands for.
right?
Yeah. Um, but yeah, tell us about yourself, Hawaii. I mean, um, gosh, where do we start? Should we start? I guess. How did you find our planet?
Yeah, 100%. So, a little bit about myself. My background originally is in biotech. So, I spent 5 years working as a scientist for a startup biotech company. We were developing a novel insecticide, which was derived from spider venom. So, I spent 5 years developing that. And then through that time, it was really getting into philosophy and different mindsets and societal structures and came across libertarianism, and then from that came across into decentralized currency
Mm,
and Bitcoin in general. So that was sort of my introduction into crypto, and just really saw the immediate benefit of Bitcoin as a decentralized store of value that was separate from government involvement. Time and time again, we'd seen how governments have manipulated their currencies and really caused a negative impact for the people. And this was really one of the first revolutions in monetary technology that had happened, at least in my understanding. So that was really, really fascinating. And I stayed in the background. I heard about Ethereum and all the different other ERC20 tokens that came along and kind of frankly forgot about it for a little bit. And during that time, I was forgetting about it. I transitioned from biotech to the nonprofit and political space where I started working in farm animal protection, doing a ton of community organizing around initiatives that improve the quality of life of animals raised for food. I had the incredible opportunity to participate in the Yes on 3 campaign in Massachusetts in 2016, I believe it was.
can I pause you there for a sec?
And yeah, totally.
Can we expand on that whole campaign? Because I think I've heard you talk about it a little bit, but I wasn't really sure what it was.
Oh, 100%. So the Yes on 3 campaign in Massachusetts, what it did was it established some of the strongest farm animal protection legislation on the planet. And it was a really proof of concept going into 2018, where the Yes on 12 campaign occurred in California. And what these campaigns were set to do, they were ballot measures. So the citizens of these states had the opportunity to vote whether they wanted better treatment for animals.
Mm-hmm.
And many people might not know this, but millions and millions of animals all around the world are raised on what are called factory farms, which are really intensive, confined animal feeding operations where, say, chickens are packed in these tiny little cages. Each chicken has no more than an iPad worth of space to move for their entire life. And this is the primary way that egg laying hens are kept, and these are called battery cages. And there are subsequent systems for baby cows used in the veal industry, these veal crates, and then mother pigs are confined in gestation crates. And famously, John Stewart was quoted saying it's basically a coffin for a pig, but they're alive. And what these measures look to do is ban the sale of products from these confinement practices and ban the confinement practices in the state. And Massachusetts was incredible because 78% of the vote said, no, we do not want these confinement practices. So they voted yes on three. And
Mm-hmm.
that served as a good proof of concept to go into California, which at the time is the sixth largest economy in the world, where we put this measure on the ballot. And not only did we want to ban the sale of those products in the state, but also any products coming into the state that were produced in these practices. Just like California has emissions on cars, so any car that's produced in Metro Detroit, where I grew up, must meet the California emission standards if it's set to be sold there.
Mm-hmm.
So there was already a good precedent for the legality of this type of law, and California voters and voters all over should be able to choose whether they want products from these cruel practices to be allowed to be sold, and they should be knowledgeable. And thankfully, 64% of the vote agreed on us. And as a part of that campaign, I ran a massive get out the vote measure as the campaign manager, where we were able to text 1.6 million California voters, asking them if they wanted to vote yes on 12. And at the time, it was the largest text message campaign done for any ballot measure proposition on the planet at the time. So it was a really strong precedent for ways that we can utilize new technology to help improve the lives of animals.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really the central focus of my activity in farm animal protection for about 5 years. There was running these ballot measure campaigns, doing community organizing, and all things related to animal protection legislation.
So I guess a question about that, about like the two measures that were passed, both of them were for outright bans of products that came from farms like this, right?
Correct. Yeah, and it also banned the practices from occurring, switching to production measures that were of higher humane quality.
Mm-hmm. Have there like I mean, have you ever worked on a thing where it's also just on the awareness sides? Because understandably, we have far left leaning populaces like in California and also on the East Coast that would go where you could go for all out bans, right? But what about just awareness measures saying is like you would say that this product on the packaging it has to be labeled like that, almost like on a box of cigarettes, saying this is there are carcinogens in here, right?
Totally. Totally. Yeah, there's a variety of different tactics in farm animal protection that have been considered to raise awareness. And one of the most impactful tactics that have been utilized is encouraging the largest companies on the planet to adopt cage-free egg policies where they commit publicly to say, we will not source eggs from these type of confinement practices. And the goal in the secondary goal in some of the nonprofit work that I did was to establish these protection measures, where whether it's cage-free egg policies or even broiler chicken policies, where companies commit to not using chickens that grow in an overly aggressive manner, causing dramatic reduction in animal welfare quality through their life. So working with companies is some of the best and most impactful measures that can be done because the companies want to do right by the consumers. So we educate consumers on how these animals are raised, the type of conditions that they're raised in, which the customers might not agree with, and might not be supportive of because they don't know. So raising awareness of the conditions then leads to support from the companies, and the companies then publicly declare it, and then the cruel confinement products reduce over time as a result of it. And we've been able to see really major increases in the cage-free eggs that are being sold. So yeah, kind of run along on that, and hope I didn't lose you there.
No, 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 of course not. I mean, like, I eat eggs on the daily, of course, as like part of my diet. And I will say that, like, once I had the opportunity to find a place where I could easily get my hands on, cage free eggs or organic eggs and all this other stuff, I would much rather pay that small premium over getting some other eggs. Because honestly, not only does the product taste better, but I can eat it with a clean conscience.
100%. And what we find is that consumers, time and time again, when all things are considered and they have the option to choose products that are from more humane practices, they overwhelmingly choose that. And as the production of these more humane practices increases, the cost naturally goes down because of the scalability and the accommodation for it. So maybe, 10 years ago, we saw dramatic differences in prices, but those are becoming more and more nominal as the time goes on. And with the inclusion of products that replace animal products altogether, we see this uh, tremendous impact for animals, because when you're making cookies, you can use eggs, but you can also use bananas, you can use flax seeds, applesauce, you can use alternatives that get to you to an even greater point. And how this ties into the work that I'm doing now with Hawaii Marine Life is just raising awareness of the beauty of the environment that's out there. Even though like 40% of people live within 60 miles of the coast globally, the overwhelming majority of the global population just can't swim, or they don't have access to see the beauty of marine life that's out in the ocean. So I want to make sure that I'm raising awareness of what we stand to lose from some of the environmental practices that large corporations are contributing to, so that we can work together to protect it. Just as we raise awareness of the cruel conditions that animals are suffering in on factory farms as a means to make a better future, I hope to highlight the inverse, rather the beauty of the natural world, as an inspiration to protect the future as well. So it's a lot of storytelling and a lot of just getting the information out there. And when people know better, they almost always choose to do better.
100%. I could not agree more on that. So, I mean, playing into that, I mean, it's fairly easy for me to make the connection between what you've previously done and, what we're building here at Our Planet, because it's all about like ESG initiatives, right? I'd say it's, repeated it quite a few times, but it's, I would love the idea if people just did good for the sake of being good, but in this the state of reality is the point that things in our society do not move without financial lubrication is what it is. Like the whole recycling system that we have, it only works if there's a fraction of profit in there for someone to take, and the fact that recycling is profitable. The moment that that breaks is that people just decide to stop doing it because it no longer becomes profitable, because the machine no longer works, and then people can't exactly sustain themselves by doing it. So in that point of what we're coming into with the next year coming in, Gita spoke on it a ton of times, Ash as well, is that all these ESG initiatives that major corporations are getting into, is that the public demands accountability on on the point of a lot of these impact categories, right? So in order for all these companies to build out these initiatives, there's major capital infusion happening, right? And it does feel in a little bit to me is that this is the power of the people winning out here, right?
Yeah, I think you're completely on to that. And we are really grateful, or really blessed, rather. I'm really grateful to live in a world where we have such readily available and shareable information. Oh, something happens, you can make a tweet about it. Other people who see that tweet can reshare it out, and we can spread good messages really, really quickly. And conversely, when there are bad actors, we can spread information to raise awareness about those bad actors. So companies are no longer hidden behind their actions are no longer hidden behind major media and it getting picked up. Um, and Web3, in the spirit of transparency, I think
Mm.
really ties into that, and being able to share what's happening in our world and say, is this something we want to support? If it is, by all means, that's what's going to happen because we're all individuals. But if we can all collectively agree that we don't support major companies polluting our environment, we don't support animals being raised in inhumane conditions, we can make our voice heard about it and work to change it, because companies want to go with whatever is going to make them the most money. And if the majority of people are willing to pay a premium for more humane products, are willing to not buy products because they don't support what the company is doing, the consumer really has more and more of a voice nowadays, more than ever, I think, in a really long time in human history. So Yeah, I'm incredibly hopeful for the future because more and more cause areas are getting discussed. More and more social change is happening that's reflecting equality and equity for all. And I believe strongly that we're going to continue along that path.
So let's go a little bit to the future then. This is a little bit of a more of a open ended question for you, but what would you like to see our planet do?
Yeah, that's an incredible question. And one of the things that initially got me interested in our planet was taking real world assets, fractionalizing the investment opportunity, tokenizing that investment opportunity, and working to build out initiatives that would not have occurred otherwise. And what's been really amazing as we've gotten more strong as a community, we have Twitter groups now related to specific traits. So if any of you are, a part of the Apple Core, I see you, Peter V in the audience, and David Bang with your Apple PFPs. We've got Riverflow going on, and we can utilize these various traits to band together and work on cause areas that we actually care about. And what I would love to see is the community really getting involved in sharing what type of change they want for the world. Our planet itself attracts a unique audience of people who do care about societal good, environmental protection, making the world a more equitable, just, sustainable place. And I would love for a level of empowerment to occur within the community so that we can really make that change in addition to the expertise and guidance of the team. So that's what I think is really most exciting is the shared community of getting good shit done that we care about and we have the opportunity to do that. I know it's kind of a vague answer, but this is really ours to come up with and create together.
Well, that's amazing. Um, hmm. Imagining what else? Oh yeah, let's touch on art a little bit, right? I mean, that was definitely part of the appeal about what drew your eye to the project, right?
Oh my gosh, Nessie is such an incredible artist. Like the PFPs are so good. The details are so fine. Spent last night looking at some of the various like physical traits, like the earrings and the necklaces and the clothing. And frankly, for my golden apple PFP, I'm like dying to get a custom made jacket of the I forget what the specific trait is, but like there's so much incredible that has been created with these PFPs, and the potential to create like IRL products is
Mm-hmm.
really that's something I spent some time looking into last night. But yeah, Nessie, just big shout out to Nessie the artist on this, and I'm super proud to be rocking, my Our Planet PFPs whenever and sharing them far and wide because the art is so good. Get behind. And for what it's worth, there are many different projects out there with different levels of what I would consider to be quality of art, but art is subjective. So at the end of the day, if you like something, by all means, that's an awesome thing for you. And just like liking the taste of cilantro or not is not like morally yes or no or binary.
I am
You know,
curious
whether
about that. How do you sit on cilantro?
Okay, so I bring it up specifically because I am a very anti cilantro type person.
Oh, it tastes like soap for you.
You think it would. Everyone asks that, but no, I just strongly dislike the taste, and it's not. Not trying to get into my taste of cilantro
Mm-hmm.
on this, but like the art is subjective part, and when I have art that I really like, it empowers me even more to get behind it. And the Our Planet art is so distinguishable that when someone sees it, they know what type of values that person has, what type of project they're supporting, and why. And I think that distinction and separation amongst the thousands of PFP projects that are out there right now is really cool differentiator to kind of draw a distinct spot in the PFP marketplace, if you get what I mean. But
Yeah, I totally get it. And on that whole point, I guess as a little linking mechanism, did you read the fine print on what's the little promotional for day 3 of Tis the Season?
when you put me on the spot, my mind's going blank, thinking about what the promotion is. But I know it's like AI lore, chat.
Mm-hmm.
chatbot or whatever you make your prompt. I've already seen some cool lore getting generated, but I don't believe I did read the fine print. I thought you were going into the fine print about how we've got like commercial use rights for the IP
Oh
on
yeah, yeah, yeah.
all of
But
our
but
planet.
this is the juicy part is like so the whole the chat GPT thing is how you participate. But the prize though, if you do happen to get it, is actually a the winning entry will receive a custom art design by Nessie based on their entry.
Whoa, that is an
Yeah.
incredibly cool prize.
Why it's always important to read the fine print.
100%. And when I was selecting my Our Planet PFP, because I knew from the get go, I came across Our Planet through the Floor community, and just the partnership with Floor has been phenomenal. I mean, everyone getting access to the Floor app, which is one of my favorite apps, to see how much money my other NFTs have lost, is amazing. I love the user experience on it. And I say that very tongue in cheek because if you've been in the Floor community long enough, you think that there's no there's no up mode because of the crypto winter that we've been experiencing or the NFT winter that we've been experiencing. So when you see it go, the joke is when you see the line go up, you're like, oh, I think the app is bugging or
Mm-hmm.
anything. So, anyways, I say that because when I was selecting my FP and I came across it from the Floor community, I knew like this is something I want to be in on the beginning. So I was really intentional about trying to mint in the first 1,000 wallets so I can get the first mark. And I'm super stoked that I was able to get that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was excited to see what I got. I still hold two of the ones that I actually minted, and I'm actively trying to buy back the one that I sold because I want to have all my original mints back. But when I was selecting my PFP, I chose the water trait because I thought it best exemplified Hawaii Marine Life, the project that I'm trying to build and what is becoming my passion project for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I chose the Living River hair trait, and and I see you out there, my Broshin, Luis Suarez, out there. I see you in the audience, so shout out the Broshin. Um, that's the kind of mocking or the name that I have for any living ocean trait, male or female
I
PFP.
do remember the meme with that. It was like something bro side in Lord of the Broshin or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I still need to come up with like a more gender neutral one, but it's kind of stuck for the time being.
Mm-hmm.
But so I chose the living ocean, and then as I got more involved with our planet, as I started to learn over the few weeks, I'm like, I really am about this. So I had to commit to getting the Rising Tide legendary, just to show an overwhelming support because I saw it available on the market. And if you really are about a project, I think getting a Grail is one of the coolest things you can do if you can swing it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and was like, yeah, this is it. So got it. Frankly, no intention of ever selling it, and it will probably be the PFP that I have for quite a while. As I continue to build out the project because I think it really exemplifies what I'm trying to create. A world where we have thriving oceans, water quality is pure, and we have systems in place in our society that make that choice to do good for the ocean and to do good for all the marine species
Mm-hmm.
apparent. Cleaning up the oceans from plastic, making sure that we're not having wastewater runoff from factory farming operations where like the fertilizer, the manure, and all that gets dumped into the oceans, creating systems where our planet can truly thrive because life really comes from the oceans and all the land stuff, at least anthropologically speaking. That's one of the theories that's out there with kind of the ocean first life model that's been proposed.
That's that's amazing. Like I've seen some of your content before for the whole ocean life documentation that you have, but I guess when's the next time you plan on going out? Because obviously, the pandemic probably put a halt to a lot of plans, and I know you relocated and all that. But do you?
Totally, totally. So to kind of kick back on the story that I was sharing earlier with regards to working 5 years in farm animal protection. So, we're putting ourselves at 2019 now,
Mm-hmm.
and the Yes on 12 campaign in 2018 has come to a conclusion. My wife and I, we were living in Los Angeles at the time. We were kicking around ideas with where we wanted to move to, and we
Mm-hmm.
couldn't really land on a spot. We'd gotten married on the island of Maui, and just put it in our goals to make it our, to live there sometime in our lifetime. And then 2020 rolls around and the pandemic, just wreaks havoc on the world. So we hold up for a little bit for like 6 months, and we're like, we haven't seen our friends in months. We don't know how everything's gonna go. Like, let's just go live out our dreams. So in 2020, October, we moved to Maui, and really Hawaii Marine Life started at that time when, because I love being out in the water, I love snorkeling, identifying all the species, and I actually found a camera in the ocean, and I tried to return it to the owner. I uploaded the footage, I searched far and wide, but then eventually I just started using the camera to film and was like, wow, I really like this. This is really cool. So I upgraded my camera setup and started sharing it on Instagram because I wanted
Mm-hmm.
people all over the world to get to experience what I was experiencing. And that's sort of how Hawaii Marine Life evolved and morphed. And I worked on that pretty hardcore for 2 years, before we relocated to Dallas, because during that time, my wife and I were just blessed enough to welcome our daughter Lily Hanalei onto the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And we realized, like, being around family, because we have a lot of people in Dallas right now, is such a unique, once in a lifetime opportunity that we can't pass it up. Maui's going to be here. We're going to get to come back, every so often, but right now, the universe has given us this opportunity to be around family, make some incredible memories, and just have our daughter grow up in that environment. So and for the project, it's also been really nice because I have like 1.64 terabytes of footage to process and go through. And when I'm on island, all I want to do is go film. I don't want to color correct. I just do really,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
fast, quick and dirty setups for Instagram, TikTok. But now I can really take that time to go through the footage, get my, final edits done for each individual clip, and do all the digital promotion and marketing of the project. And just recently, I spoke at the Aquatic Life Conference discussing the importance of conservation areas in popular ecotourism spots because, though, like I said, 40% of people live within 60 miles of the ocean, the only time that people really like get to truly interact with the ocean, at least generally, is when they're on vacation. So by establishing eco-conservation areas in popular tourism locations, it's a great psychological entry point for people to get a conservation and ocean protection message via conservation areas and local support. So getting the opportunity to market and promote the project has been really, really nice, while I'm here. So, on my TV in front of me, I've got my favorite fish, Humu Humu LA, picture of them up in my background. I've got it. So I've got marine life all around me. And definitely planning to get back, as soon as possible.
Is it always just been around Hawaii, or did you want to travel to like other, you know, ocean diving spots around the world?
I'm certainly interested, in ocean diving spots around the world, and probably probably more to a fault. I feel like I'm a quite loyal person, so when it comes to, like, Hawaii, we have this phrase on Maui. It's Maui no Ka'oi, which essentially translates to Maui is the best. And
Mm.
I certainly feel that way and resonate. So I find myself very team spirited. And while I'm fascinated in more of a just interest based extent, there's so much to explore in the Hawaiian Islands. I mean, just in the northwest area is the Papahana Umokuakea Marine National Monument, which is like 150,000 square kilometers worth of protected marine area.
Wow.
And like, you could spend your entire lifetime just exploring that area. So I'm fascinated in a sense, like I want to see thresher sharks. I want to see whale sharks. I want to see white sharks, like mostly a lot of sharks. Like orcas, like I would love to go diving in Norway, in the fjord there, and get to dive with orcas. But there's so much in Hawaii that I want to see and explore that I'm not, if I have to choose one or the other, I'm always probably going to be 60-40 towards Hawaii.
All this is really fascinating, but I mean, I don't mean to put you on the spot here, but like all these conversations about like conservation for marine life and all that, and we say all these things about like damage to the ocean that was in plastics, oil spills, all these other things. Do we actually have a solid, even graspable, like mental number or like some sort of metric on how much damage has actually been done to marine life? I know it sounds like a rather dark question and all that, but I don't think it's really possible for people to grasp a hold of the situation unless they actually have it put in front of them. It's like all the statements that we had before is like there's a problem, but people don't really understand how on fire the house is.
Totally, totally. So it comes down to the human ability to comprehend large numbers. If I ask you to close your eyes and think about like what does $100 bills look like,
Mm-hmm.
most people are going to be pretty good at that. If I asked you to grab, $1,000, what does that look like? Most people, can kind of figure it out. Probably, a little bit of like more variability. But then if I ask you to grasp, like, what does a million or a billion or $1 trillion bills look like? Most people, 99.999% of people, cannot fathom that in their mind's eye. And that is a good analogy to discuss sort of like a few different areas of marine conservation because, one, we have so many coral reefs that have been dying as a result of climate change because they're not designed to deal with the elevated temperatures and the elevated acidity of the oceans. So researchers are working on stress-resistant coral to seed and help,
Really?
reseed the oceans on that. Yeah,
Is
yeah.
is this like genetically modified coral?
So yes, yeah. The short and sweet answer of that is yes.
Huh.
But effectively, coral are living organisms. There are many, many different coral species, and
Mm-hmm.
coral work symbiotically with bacteria. And when coral are stressed, the immune response is to eject that bacteria that help them thrive. So when you hear the term coral bleaching, the factual bit of that is the coral has ejected the bacteria from their body to create an immune response to hopefully recover. But then if they never recover, the coral dies off, and that's the coral bleaching event. And there's some pretty doom and gloom estimates about the state of coral being able to regrow. But I think human ingenuity is something I'll always put a bet on. And
Mm-hmm.
as long as we have these species in captivity, like the coral species, we have the opportunity to reseed and get the oceans back to a certain state. So I'm really hopeful in that endeavor. But then with regards to the large numbers, there are billions and billions of wild caught or factory farmed fish that are existing and were being removed from the oceans. And as you have large numbers of fish being removed from the oceans, it really breaks the ecosystem. So you get this imbalance in the natural state of things, which really throws off general population dynamics. A common analogy is like if you remove wolves, deer populations thrives, and if deer populations thrives, the grasses die, and then the deer die. Like the environment is so intertwined with each other that we really need to be mindful of the impact. So like reducing or eliminating fish from your diet is a really wonderful way to not support those industries.
Mm-hmm.
And as cellular agriculture starts to evolve and we can grow meat without the animal, because I don't think anyone's against really the taste of meat. Like most people who don't eat meat are really against like the animal cruelty component.
Mm-hmm.
So when cellular agriculture pops off, and we have these alternatives that are more humane, the exact same product. I see a tremendous opportunity for future benefit for our ecosystems as a result of the inclusion of these new technologies. So while it might be bleak in headlines and just trying to raise attention, because frankly, like everyone's busy with their own lives, like
Mm-hmm.
no one cares. And what my videos seek to inspire is people to just take a moment, take 5 seconds, as you're scrolling through Instagram or TikTok, check out this beauty, consider it. Just try to build from there. We only get these moments of interaction with people through their daily lives, so we really need to be impactful when we connect with them, and that's sort of like what I try to do and inspire to kind of combat the general downtrend that our environments are going in. And I do have to hop off here in about 2 minutes or so. Um, Before we, any closing thoughts, I just want to say thank you to everyone in the audience. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to share more information about Hawaii marine life, to be a part of the Our Planet community, and to have spotlight on me. And I really look forward to, seeing you all up here and getting the spotlight on you. And just thank you so much for all the support on Twitter for Our Planet. And as long as we keep up this momentum, keep talking about it, sharing the project, I have no doubt that we're really on the right path to making a real world impact as per our mission.
100%. Thank you so much for being here today. It's been a joy to have you here today, and of course, it's been a joy to just have you in the community since like pretty much the beginning. It's
Yeah,
great to
I'm,
have you
I'm
here.
so grateful. I mean, Our Planet Discord is something I'm checking, uh, basically right when I wake up, saying GM to everybody. I'm so stoked to see y'all in there and actively participating, and look forward to getting to continue to know each and every one of you. So never hesitate to reach out. And if you're curious about how to support Hawaii Marine Life, on Twitter, it's at High Marine Life. And then on Instagram and TikTok, it's at Hawaii Marine Life. So if you can go give me a follow, I would deeply, deeply appreciate it. And yeah, just thanks again for taking the time today to join.
Cheers, everyone. And what's the usual? I understand what was it? Aloha is the usual greeting, but is there a goodbye as well?
Really, so fun fact, aloha means hello and goodbye.
Oh,
So aloha, everybody.
aloha. Have a great one, everyone.
Take care.